Hi everyone, it's Miss Laura from the Upper Marion Township Library, today with our Scientist Society program, Oobleck. Now I'm sure most of you are familiar with slime, and I know lots of kids love making slime. This is a little bit easier of a version of slime. You don't have to worry about contact solution and all that fun stuff, just some things that you have in your kitchen, and it's also based on a book, which for a librarian, how much cooler can you get? This is actually based on the book Bartholomew and the Oobleck. It's a Dr. Seuss book. And we're going to use that as our inspiration today. So we're going to use green food coloring to make ours. Oobleck, like I said, is super easy. You just need some cornstarch, some water, and you need some food coloring. Oobleck is considered a non-Newtonian fluid, which means that it acts both like a solid and like a liquid, depending on what happens to it. So to get started, first we're going to need, it's about a 2-to-1 ratio of cornstarch to water, and it really is going to depend on the weather outside, the humidity, where you are, all of those fun things. So go ahead and just kind of eyeball it for first. I'm not going to do any measuring. I'm just going to do a good amount of cornstarch in my bowl. And this is one of those programs that you're going to use and you're going to get messy, so just be ready. And there's 2 steps for this. You can either add the food coloring at the beginning and add it to your water, which makes it much easier to mix in with your cornstarch, or add it after you've added the water to your cornstarch and you've mixed it a little bit, because then it takes a little bit more work and it's a little bit more fun to play with. So right now, mine is extremely difficult and very dry to mix. It is definitely not Oobleck texture right now. It looks mostly like flour. So we're going to add a splash more of water. And the best thing about this is that if you add too much water, put in a little more cornstarch. And if you add too much cornstarch, add a little bit more water. It's not rocket science, but it is definitely science. Cornstarch works with water in a really interesting way. So it takes a little bit of time to incorporate together. Now it's getting pretty close to what we want it to be like. And at some point, you kind of just have to start using your hands. This is pretty close. Because right now, if you try and push a lot of it together, it's hard to do. But then it pulls off the spoon like slime. All right, so we've got a base of Oobleck right now. We're going to add our food coloring. And now we got to do a little bit more mixing. And like I said, if you add it in this step, it takes a little bit to incorporate. Now, the coolest thing about non-Newtonian fluids is that in some ways, when you work with them, like I said, they feel like a solid. There's actually YouTube videos of people who have made pools of Oobleck and that they've run across them because you're putting so much pressure so quickly on the surface that it actually feels like a solid. But like I said, it's pulling off your spoon like a liquid, which is really, really fun. So if you can see this, it's still very, very swirly right now because I'm having trouble getting that green incorporated. It is incorporating. It's just taking its good old time to do so. Now, the fun stuff about Oobleck is if you pick it up, you can kind of create a ball with it in your hand. And I'll see if I can do it fast enough so you can see. Like, it looks like a solid right now, right? Like Play-Doh almost. But if you let it sit in your hand, it just starts oozing and it starts separating into that liquid that it is. It's a really cool texture and it's a little cool feeling too. So it would be perfect to work with this summer while it's nice and hot outside. And it's just fun because if you pull it back into a ball again, you can get all of that off of your hands that was sticking on you. It's a lot of fun. You can let it drip. You can see if you can, it doesn't spread because it's not like slime in that way. It basically just breaks apart, which is pretty awesome. You can do any colors you want. You can use gel food coloring, liquid food coloring, doesn't matter for this one. When you are finished with it, parents, this is the important part, do not pour this down the sink. It is not a liquid like that. Actually, if you let this sit long enough, it will separate itself out again because it does not incorporate together. The cornstarch is merely suspended in the water molecules. So it's not a liquid and it can clog up your sinks. So if you're doing anything like this, let it dry as much as you can off your hands. Rub them together over the trash can to get most of it off before you rinse your hands off. And when you're finished with it all together, the best thing to do is just throw it in your garbage can because you don't want it getting clogged in your sink. All right, everyone, that's another Scientist Society program. If you get a chance to make Oobleck, as usual, we would love to see that. So tag us on social media, at UMT Library is our handle, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and make sure you use the hashtag UMTLReads for our summer programming. We hope you guys are having a great summer. See you soon. Bye!